to talk to Gage.
Hello everyone, this is Engage here, and welcome back to another video. So real quick, before we get into all of this, get into the script of this video, yes, I have a mustache. Swing. There it is. That's basically all I had to say. So you all may have some confusion about this video. Gage, didn't you just make a Red Dead Redemption 2 video a few weeks ago? Yes, I did. But that video was mostly me just talking about the things in this game that made an impression on me pretty much off the bat. I made that first video somewhere around 30 hours of playtime. In that video, I mostly focused on gameplay, graphics, little details I noticed, and immersion. That video was one I was so eager to create at the time, as I was just so excited. And I wanted an excuse to just gush about the things that I found so refreshing about this game's design. It was more of an overview look at things I liked. So what then is this video? Well, I finished the game in the weeks since that first video, and I finished the story, and it essentially blew my mind. I was shocked by the direction the plot went in. I have been thinking about the story non-stop since I finished it, and I think that was my indicator that I should make another video talking about this game. After all, this channel is for this kind of stuff. If there's something that I cannot stop thinking about, I think it is worth sharing those thoughts that I have been having with all of you here on the internet. The story of RDR2 is genuinely phenomenal in my opinion. And maybe that is just because a lot of popular media has really bad characters and stories. Lately, the trend has been to not even create real characters, but instead create political mouthpieces for often woke ideologies of our modern day. Super annoying. And maybe I'll make another video on this topic in the future, but needless to say, the story of RDR2 is by no means super complicated to understand the gist of it, but it is the kind of story that is just of such quality that I believe mostly anyone would enjoy it. It is also the kind of story that has room for analysis, I believe. The writers of this game really seem to have a clear vision for this game's characters and story. And now I want to discuss how it impacted me personally. This video is just my own opinion and perspective on things in this game's story. Surely I will not interpret everything the same way you may, so please feel free to leave any of your thoughts down in the comments below. Anyways, maybe I should get on with the video and discuss specifics now. So, with all that out of the way, on to the main part of the video. Before we dive in, I need to give a spoiler warning for the story of RDR2. If you have not played this game before and eventually plan to experience it yourself, then maybe avoid this video for now. But please consider coming back after you finish the game for yourself. But with that out of the way, I wanted to draw your attention to this video by Daryl Talks Games called Post Game Depression Explained. This video was amazing, by the way. I recommend all of you who are interested to go check out this video that he made, link in the description below. The topic of this video was the feelings many of us get after we finish experiencing an incredible story, whether it be a video game, movie, book, or TV show. A lot of us get this longing feeling of missing when this thing was new to us. My greatest takeaway from his video was the idea he shared about how we should look for something we can take with us into the future from a great story we experienced, a great piece of art, if you will. I sort of felt this sad feeling once the credits rolled on RDR2's story, but I decided that I wanted to take what I felt and learn from it and share it with all of you here in this video. That is what this video is all about. I just felt this desire to talk about an incredible game that made a big impact on me, and this channel is my opportunity to do just that. Just as a quick side note, I encourage all of you to carry this same mentality when you start feeling sad when you reach the end of an awesome piece of art. Look at how you can turn it into an opportunity for discussion surrounding whatever it is, or maybe write about it. Make a video like me if that's your thing, or find someone to gush about this too. With all that out of the way, we need to talk about Dutch, first off. I feel like most of what make RDR2's story so good comes from Dutch van der Linde and how he's written into the story. Holy cow, I have so much to say about this guy and the story surrounding him. Dutch is pure genius how he is written. This video was nearly just titled The Genius of Dutch van der Linde. Dutch could be my favorite character if Arthur and John were not already so amazing in their own right. So why is Dutch so amazing? Well, Dutch is such a genius villain for how he slowly and subtly shifts as a person and leader to the group. During the story, Dutch subtly drifts away from the leader who cares for the group like they're his family, to a man who is so focused on everything else except for the family's safety and well-being. Subtle is the key word here. When I was starting off in the game's story, I was actually a big fan of Dutch as a character. I found him to be charismatic and a smart leader, plus he was just entertaining to watch on screen. Sure, he had made mistakes here and there, but I always knew where he was coming from and why he did the things that he did. It all just felt like it made more sense to me. It wasn't until towards the back half of the story that Dutch slowly shifted into a man who seemed confident, but also much less stable also. As for my own perspective, I felt his slow change firsthand. It was such an interesting experience watching and feeling Dutch's transformation. Like I said, early on I loved him as a character, but at a certain point I could tell his intentions were no longer on keeping everyone safe. I started to see the layers of Dutch peeled back. I started to notice how he cared much less and less about the group he was leading and the family he had. Slowly, he was seeming to only care about what he wanted, and he often hid his intentions under the guise that it would help the group in the end.
So how did you know she was gonna betray us? What'd she say?
It was in her eyes, in the way she was leading us.
But you said you knew Spanish.
I know human beings.
Arthur. You're gonna strangle me next?
I'm doing the best I can.
Dutch had other motives ahead of the family unit. I find Dutch's story in RDR2 to be incredible for how it highlights the style of leader we all need as people. Of course, I will always think of leaders in context of Christian leaders and church. However, you can easily substitute any other forms of leaders, such as a father or a guardian of some kind, as to how this relates to you personally. This idea is one that I discussed some in my video talking about Rick and Negan's leadership styles in The Walking Dead. Dutch was someone who seemed to love the group he was in and that he was leading. He wanted everyone to be safe and survive. However, once he put his own personal agenda and motives ahead of the group, he became a dangerous leader and even an antagonist to everyone's safety. This is why most people left the group at the end of the story. Everyone could tell Dutch was not the same man he was at the start of their life together in this group. Another interesting thing to point out is how Dutch may never have actually changed in the course of the story. Now, maybe certain lines of dialogue are getting fuzzy in my head at this point, but I was pretty sure Arthur said this very thing at one point in the game, that Dutch never changed. We just slowly learned the kind of person he truly was over time. Regardless of if this line was truly in the game or not, I think it is an interesting context to have viewing this story on a second playthrough. I feel like I may notice more things about Dutch a second time that I maybe didn't the first time around. Perhaps not everyone watching this will get this as much as I do, but I feel like this portrayal of a villain like Dutch is absolutely splendid for how realistic his depiction is. The truth is, most of the time, real life people don't start out with the motives of trying to end the world or something like that. That's just dumb. No, but oftentimes real world villains, so to speak, are the kind of people like Dutch, who start out seeming competent, caring for their people, and being a good leader, but slowly we start to see their real motives behind the curtain. Lately in my life, I've been questioning a lot. I've been trying to understand human trustworthiness. Maybe you can relate with me when I say this, but recently I found it difficult to know who I can trust in this world. Humans are naturally and inherently bad, which, by the way, is another thing I really like about RDR2's story and themes. I'm a huge sucker for stories where the characters are not portrayed as always inherently good. Maybe this is more of a subtle thing, but I can usually tell when the human reality of sinfulness is trying to be portrayed honestly within a story. But that aside, yeah, trusting is not always an easy thing to do. I know that I have been stabbed in the back a whole lot of times I've been cast aside by people and actively hurt by others. As shocking as it may seem, I actually relate to the story of RDR2 quite a lot. I experienced something similar in my own life after we had a pastor change within the church I grew up in all my life. At first, he seemed like he had everything good that we needed in a leader. He seemed charming, intelligent, kind, and even like a genuine sort of guy. But eventually, those of us not blinded by reality could see through to the man he really was deep down. In many ways, I feel like Arthur Morgan. You can tell Arthur, while not perfect himself, really did love this group like his own family. It tore my heart in two at the end of the story how Arthur did everything he could to protect his family and get them to safety. Arthur was a real man and leader to this group. He shows me what a leader should actually strive to be. Not perfect, never. We can never be perfect, but one who puts the needs of others ahead of his own. A man who loves, protects, and provides for his people. Arthur was the kind of man who proved his devotion. Unfortunately, it was just to the wrong man. In the end, Arthur dies looking out to the sunset one final time before he dies of tuberculosis. Life is not always perfect. We all make plans for exactly how we want our life to go, but it never goes exactly as we had planned it out in our heads. Arthur's death at the end of the story shows us that even someone like him, death was unavoidable, and sometimes that is how life goes for us. It is a sad reminder for sure, but reflecting upon my adventure, living alongside of these characters, alongside of Arthur, I learned how important good leaders are. We all need leaders who lead not because of anything within themselves, but because they see a need of the people they love and they move to meet those needs. That is what it means to be a man. And that's the video. Like I said, I just had so many more thoughts about Red Dead Redemption 2. After I finished it, I kind of figured I would, because there's just so much to talk about in terms of the story that I didn't cover in my first video. And so this video was a chance for me to just be like, hey, here's the things that just really impacted me, really were things that I wanted to carry with me into the future, just like that video that I watched. And really and truly, I think RDR2 is one of a very few games that I consider to be perfect, quote unquote. And what I mean by that is not that they have zero bugs, zero problems whatsoever, because, subjectively we'll always be able to look at something and say that's not our thing. I'm not even that crazy about open world games personally, but I still really, really enjoyed this game, and I really think it's of a very high quality. But what I mean by perfect is not so much perfection as in like no problems within it, but more of the thematic cohesion within it. Every piece of this game felt intentional, and it felt like it mattered. It felt like it was all building to what RDR2 as an experience, as a story, came out to be. The only other game that's like this that I can think of is Persona 5 Royal, which I also consider to be a perfect game, quote unquote, meaning it's holistically what it set out to be. There's always going to be like little nitpicks, sure, but I just think it's the closest thing to like perfection as we can get in a video game, especially considering how much work it took to accomplish, to create something as massive as Red Dead Redemption 2. So I've just had so many thoughts. I've been thinking about this game nonstop, and I just had to make a video on it. I just had to talk to you all about some of the things I thought of. One day, I'm sure I'll go back and replay this game and just have a whole nother perspective on the story and themes within the game. But as for now, those are my thoughts. Those are the things that I just had burning on my mind and heart that I just wanted to share with all of you. But with all that being said, I hope you all enjoyed the video. If you did, be sure to hit that like button. It helps me out a ton. And if you didn't, If that's okay, thank you for watching this long. And with that being said, don't forget to engage that subscribe button down below. But with all that being said, I'll see you all in the next video. God bless.